Hello, welcome to Heart Explained Therapy. I recently did a video that said how not to react emotionally to all the triggers that you normally react to, because you'll find a land of paradise and peace, and where you don't have to get engaged with completely nonsense stuff like the somebody saying something that normally pees you right off. You don't need to get engaged with this sort of interaction with the outside world. Now, I thought of two ideas that might actually really be good to use in the moment of being triggered. One's called paraphrasing. It's a psychological term where you are most likely going to use this on a regular basis and basically train your brain to shift the paradigm of where you're normally going, which is emotional, erratic, irrational, anxiety, and the rest of it. A paraphrase is something that you can choose that will just stand out. So basically you will do this subconsciously anyway. Most of the time you'll speak to yourself when you have a moment when you've got to confrontate with somebody else, and you're going to maybe go in on the defence or the attack or whatever you decide to do. You have thoughts mentally in your mind of basically, I'm going to say this as soon as they've finished, or I'm going to do this action, or I'm going to, and you'll visualise you're walking away or even maybe knocking them out. And this is something that happens all the time. I want to double bind this with paraphrasing and you creating a image, a positive reaffirming image that retrains your brain, that knows that you feel uncomfortable and fearful of a situation, and what normally tends to bring out your anxiety and your panic attack and rage and all these sort of negative emotions, which is honestly an instinctive reaction that you've always done. It's just going to retrain your brain. I like to use the simple one, which is now. N-O-W, now. The power of now, if you've watched any of Eckhart Tolle, where you just say sort of a message to yourself that you're just in the moment. Nothing has changed apart from this ugly conversation that you're in, or apart from this letter that you have, or apart from this sort of experience that could possibly be an event. Most of mental health is actually triggered by imaginary illusions of what might be and what might happen, and it's usually the worst case scenario that you're thinking of. Change this with a positive image, an image of something nice, your son, your daughter, something that makes you feel good, your favourite hobby, something you enjoy to do. If you like fashion, if you like purchasing certain items, if you like sport, pick this with your paraphrasing word, and this will basically just bring you back to earth, back to the emotional setting of neutral ground, where you can be more conscious, more clever, and you can actually just, rather than react and engage, you can actually just listen and observe. And it's almost a beautiful artwork in a conversation, or when something happens. If you start to get irritated on the telephone, or if somebody says that you need to do something that you don't want to do, paraphrase with an image of something positive will just center you and ground you, and make you see that nothing has really happened externally. What's actually happening now is internally, from your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. They're all going to go down one rabbit hole or the other, and you want to rise and go up the staircase and stay in your mood that you regulate all of the time. So paraphrase, and paraphrasing is, like I say, something you could say, what would God do? What would God do in the situation? What would I do if this was a child? Something like, they are unconscious, this experience isn't real, just whatever the paraphrase is. Hit that, double bind that with a positive image, and this will definitely stop you from going down the rabbit hole of the emotional turmoil, which leads to mental health, which then means you are lost to negative chemicals being produced in your body, cementing the old conditioned body of relapsing into your old bad habits and bad ways, never getting anything done, never being motivated, sharing the whole news about how you're a victim of this specific wrong in the world, which just is a truth, but a truth that you don't actually have to feel that negative about. Another possible thing to suggest here, if you don't always do it, if you can't always do it, do not double bind yourself again with guilt that you couldn't do it. You're going to fail. So the worst case scenario is your ego will defend your actions, and not that guilt will get suppressed, and you won't even understand that you actually feel bad about something that you did or you did not do. This guilt is the stuff that just lies around and comes out once again, which means you can't use the power phrases, you can't use positive images, because your mind's not on the ball. Basically, you're not engaged in this reality. You're engaged in, you are important, you are this perfect centre of the universe, and if somebody doesn't bow to me, I will become that victim, and I've got all the evidence to provide to the court of the world that I am the victim, and basically everybody owes you a favour when you do that. And if you don't get them favours done, you dip further and further down into depression. What I'm saying is, you are the creator of that, and if you do create it, enjoy it. Experience the madness, the insanity, go deep down inside of it, know that you're in that rabbit hole, have a look around, see what exists, learn about it, understand, and come back out the other side, because you always do anyway. You might as well go there with your eyes wide open and understand that you do have these loops of guilt unconsciously being formed. You do have things that you are flawed about, and you have weaknesses and stuff that you can't physically achieve, and just sweep it under the carpet and go again.